So let's start off with 5 don'ts. These are 5 things that you should not do when using any IELTS sample essays. Number 1 is the most common one, which is don't use fake sample essays. I'd say that more than 95% of the supposed Band 9 essays that you'll find online are not anywhere near Band 9. And if you are reading and copying people that have never even got close to the score that you're hoping to get, then you're learning lots of bad habits. But don't worry, we've solved that for you by giving you these real sample essays, and we'll show you how to get those in the rest of the video. Number 2, don't just pick up the essay, read it, and think that you will magically, through osmosis, become better at writing. You cannot read an essay and become better at writing by just passively reading it. I think a lot of people have been convinced that all you have to do is read the essay and some magic thing will happen in your brain and you will improve. That is simply not going to happen. If you don't believe me, think back to last month when the World Cup was on. I think something like more than 1 billion people watched the World Cup final. Were any of those people better at football after the World Cup final, after watching 2 of the greatest footballers that have ever lived? No. You would think that that's ridiculous, but thousands of students every single month fail the test because they believe all they have to do is just read lots and lots of sample essays. It is not going to help you, but the good news is we're going to give you these 10 strategies, these 10 techniques that will actually help you in the rest of this video. Another thing that you should not do is look at the essays and try and figure out why you're better than these students in some way, or why these students are not good, or these students are not high level. Let me tell you a little story about a trick that I used to play on my students in the British Council. So on the first day of a new IELTS class with new students, what I would do is I would give them Band 6 essays, Band 7 essays, Band 8 essays, and Band 9 essays. And I wouldn't tell them which were which. And I would put them around the room and I'd ask the students to go and look at these essays and give them a score. And every single time, and this is like hundreds and hundreds of students, every single time they thought the Band 6 was Band 9 and they thought the Band 9 was Band 6. You are a student, you are not an IELTS examiner. If you had the knowledge of an IELTS examiner, you wouldn't be watching this video. Most students look at a Band 6 essay, which normally has lots of complicated words and complex language, and think that it is very, very high level. Most students look at Band 9 essays and think that they are low level. Band 9 essays are actually quite simple and easy to understand and very, very clear. Most students look at Band 7 essays and think there's lots of grammar mistakes, there's lots of vocabulary mistakes. This must be a really low-level student. Band 7 essays have mistakes in them. Please do not waste your time and your energy trying to find out why you think these are not good. If you were an expert, you wouldn't be watching this video. The 4th thing that you should not do is look for things that you can copy from these essays. And there's a very simple reason for that. Number 1, you are not doing a memorization test. I know many of you come from educational backgrounds where the emphasis in your education system is just on memorizing things, and that's how they test intelligence. This is not a memorization test. This is a writing in English test. This is a can you communicate clearly in English test. You cannot memorize words and phrases and chunks of essays and hope to just put those in on test day and get a higher score. That is not how it works. You can use these to improve your grammar and your vocabulary, and we'll show you how to do that in the rest of the video, but don't just memorize them. It is not going to help you. And number 5, this might sound really silly, but a lot of students do this. Do not copy the entire essay and put it into your response on test day. A lot of students believe that if they copy a high-level essay and then just put it in no matter what the question is, that they're magically going to get a high score. I don't know why students do this, but they do. Please do not do this. I don't want to be responsible for students failing the test. So please, please, please do not do those 5 things. It is a waste of your time and it is a waste of money. These days, the IELTS test costs a lot of money. Don't throw it away by using these incorrectly. But there are now 10 ways that we're going to show you that you can use them correctly to improve your writing skills and improve your writing score. So this is how to find the 100 sample essays on our website. I've purposely hidden them so that only students that are serious about getting the scores that they need will find them. First thing you want to do is go to Google and type in IELTS Writing Task 2. It will bring up a list of different websites. And what you want to do is find the IELTS Advantage one. It might be number one, it might be somewhere on this page. Just click on the IELTS Advantage one. That should bring you to this page on our website, IELTS Writing Task 2 in 2023. That's step one. Now continue to watch the video and I'll show you in step 2 how to find the essays. So I'm going to give you these 10 things that you can do, these 10 techniques, but you don't have to use all 10 of them. What I would recommend doing is watching them all and picking the one that you think is your biggest weakness. That's what you should always start with, not just for writing, but for all areas of the test. Don't work on things that you're already comfortable doing. Don't work on your strengths. Work on your weaknesses. I know that's tough, and I know as human beings we don't like to do difficult things, but this is the best way for you to pass the test as quickly as possible and then move on with your life and you never have to think about this silly test again. So I'm going to go through these 10 now, watch them all, and then pick the ones that you think are most difficult for you or you think that you need to work the most on. So the first thing that we're going to teach you is how to use sample essays for improving your idea generation. A lot of students really struggle with this area, and once you start to see what real band 7, 8 and 9 ideas look like, it removes a lot of the stress, because what you will notice is most of them are a lot simpler than you think. You don't get extra marks for coming up with complex ideas. You get extra marks for thinking of ideas that answer the question and that are relevant to the question. And most of the time, these are going to be simple ideas. So the first thing that you can do to improve your idea generation is don't look at the answer to the question. Don't look at the actual essay. Take each one and cover up the actual essay and just look at the question. And what we've done here is we've limited the number of questions. We're giving you like 100 essays, but I think there are only like 10 questions. So that will mean that you see a wide variety of different ideas. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the questions and think of ideas yourself. So what I would recommend doing is not brainstorming. What I would recommend doing is simply look at the question and think, what is the simplest idea that answers this question? What is the most obvious idea, the most straightforward idea? If I asked 100 people this question, what would be the most popular answer? And if you write down a few of them and then look at the answer, identify the main ideas. They will normally be in the introduction, and they will be in the main body paragraph, and they will be normally in the conclusion. Identify those main ideas and then compare with your ideas. If you're getting similar ideas to these students that got band 7, 8 and 9, then you're probably on the right track. If you have different ideas, that doesn't mean that you're wrong, doesn't mean that your ideas aren't relevant, but think about whether they are relevant or not. Are you getting different ideas because they're just different relevant ideas? Or think about whether your ideas are relevant or not. If you think about them and you compare them and you're like, actually, my ideas are completely irrelevant, that might mean that you didn't understand the question, so you have to work on that more. Or it could mean that you're just complicating everything and making your ideas way more complicated than they need to be. So that's technique 1. The second thing that you can work on would be idea development. So this is taking ideas and developing them into main body paragraphs. So step 1, look at the question, understand the question, and then identify the main ideas. So for this person, focus on their careers, idea number 1, and have more time for themselves, idea number 2. So there's 2 benefits, 2 advantages here. And then what you do is you do not look at the main body. So you just identify those 2 main ideas. And then what you could do on this blank piece of paper, you could pick one. So for example, you could write an explanation, you could write an example, and then you could compare that with what the student has done in this essay. So here, focus on the careers. This is because they have less responsibility and distractions in their lives compared to the couples that have a child. So if it's the same, then you're probably on the right track, but you could also make this better. You might think, well, I could maybe explain this a little bit more. Again, you're not looking for exact matches. what you're doing is thinking about what they have done and what you have done. And this is just one essay. You might look at 5, 6, 7 other essays for this question, and then look at all of the explanations and compare those with your explanations, compare those with your examples, and then that's going to help you develop your own. The next thing